Hey, hey, and welcome to the House of L podcast. I'm Laurence Holmes. Thank you so much for hanging out. Whether you're hanging out on Spotify or Apple, or if you're here on the YouTube page, if you're on Spotify or Apple, we do have the House of L YouTube page. We're getting close to 7,000 subscribers, which is great because we really didn't start kind of taking this thing seriously until the fall. But I'm glad that people are congregating at the YouTube page. So come on over. A lot of videos over there. I am going to, I guess, since the algorithm thinks that this is a Bears pod, maybe I'll just do mostly Bear stuff here. And there's other stuff, by the way, on the audio platform. So it's kind of like a cross medium thing if you want to check out some of the other stuff. So I did a retrospective of the 27 years that I've been at the Score. It was someone described it as a therapy session, and that's fairly accurate. I often will use the podcast as an opportunity to talk through some stuff and help figure some things out. I was not expecting to be wearing my very nice bomber jacket in May, but here we are. It was so weird. Like you go through Thursday, which was damn near perfect. And then Friday, for the most part, was perfect until the dust storm rolled through. I've been through Haboob in Arizona and in Las Vegas. I've never been through something like that here. That was very interesting and scary at the same time. But that's not why you called. Actually, you didn't call. By the way, we are brought to you by Remy Martin. Team Up with Excellence. Chicago Remy VSOP is top notch. You need to check it out. Any hoozle. The last time that I was on the page, I was talking about the Seth Wickersham report from the book that he's writing on quarterbacking, which I cannot wait to get my hands on because it seems amazing. And not just for the Caleb stuff. Like, to me, the concept of the quarterback dad, that relationship, how to build a quarterback. Like, I'm fascinated by it. The way that quarterbacking has changed over the last 15 years and how we're seeing players that now people of, I guess, if we count Cam Newton, 15 is about right. But if we go back 20 years where you're a high school coach and someone like Cam Newton walks onto your field, and at first you look at him and go, oh, that guy's a defensive end. And it's like, oh, no. He's like crazy athletic. We need to put the ball in his hands more often. And that's where a lot of these spread quarterbacks have kind of come from, where the high school coach is out of necessity because maybe you only have one of those guys. And you're saying, why should I rely on someone like me? Okay. If you're the coach, why rely on your 5'9" quarterback to get the ball to your 6'5" wide receiver instead of allowing that person to have the ball in their hands on every play and making it really difficult for that person to be stopped? Do I think that it is limited some of the passing game of some of these players? Yes. And that's where it's incumbent upon the college coaches to talk with the player and talk about what it is that they need to get ready for the next step. Now, the college coach is in a similar position as the high school coach. The high school coach their job is to win, and their job is to help develop players who are, in some cases in high school, their first real experience with tackle football. I look at someone like Jalen Milroe and go, that's a guy who would have benefited from more emphasis on passing, but I think that where he got drafted will allow for him to not have to play immediately, and maybe he will get the coaching that he needs. Because I think he has all the tools. If you look at like Jalen Milroe's deep touch, he's got that, and that's really difficult for people. He just kind of needs to learn a little bit more of what the pro passing game looks like. But I'm fascinated with the book, and then there's all the Caleb stuff too. But I wanted to go back to it for a second, and I want to talk about it from the perspective of Ryan Poles. because a lot of people, I usually will check out what your comments are inside of the recording just to see what you guys thought. And there's a couple things that I want to talk about. One, the idea of Ryan Poles deserving a pass because of either A, the McCaskies, or B, Trace Armstrong. I'm summarily throwing that out. He had choices. And the idea of if he knew something was wrong in spring training, and someone said this, well, he couldn't do anything because of the McCaskies. I'm not allowing that. He's the general manager of the football team. And if that means that he sees that things are falling through the cracks, then it's incumbent upon him. And I'm not talking about firing anybody. I'm talking about getting everyone together and saying, this is not working. What ideas do you have to try and make it work? Caleb, what do you need from this guy and this guy to make you more effective? Walk me through, like, it's almost as if he should have gone back and been like, walk me through what your day is like. And if the general manager then finds out that part of the quarterback's day is I'm watching film by myself and I'm not quite sure what I'm watching, I'm logging the hours, but I'm not getting the concepts and there's no one here to help me. That's a way the general manager can help without firing anyone. You don't have, or you didn't have, a veteran quarterback in that room last year because you fell in love with Tyson Bagent, which is fine. I like Tyson Bagent as a developmental quarterback too. But the problem is that you didn't have an actual NFL quarterback in the room, a veteran quarterback that's seen a lot of stuff. And guess what? That would have made things easier for Caleb to be like, hey, JT O'Sullivan, hey, Case Keenum, whoever, whatever, hey, Colt McCoy, whoever you want to throw into that role, one of those guys would have been a valuable resource, and they didn't have one of those. That's a way the general manager can help the quarterback without firing someone. And then it gets to the point where you have to fire someone because Shane Waldron doesn't know what's going on. I think that while everyone loves to point up at the McCaskies, and clearly there's a ton of stuff that they've gotten wrong throughout their tenure, which has made it so that the Bears haven't won anything, let's not infantize Ryan Poles. Let's not act like he wasn't the guy in charge. He was in charge of the football operation. They left it to him, and this is what ended up happening. So I'm not with you on that. I'm not with the idea of saying, no, it's no, Laurence, you got to go a step up. I'll tell you what no one's talking about. It's the McCaskies. No. The football person messed up, and the football person perhaps is moving in the right direction. And that's kind of my main thesis for this. I would like to believe that Kevin Warren played a major role in turning this around, along with Ryan Poles having the benefit of hindsight and saying, I really messed this up, but I now understand what it is that I messed up. And I'm going to change the way that all of this is done so that we get the maximum benefit from the process of trying to find a coach. I don't know if Ben Johnson's going to be that dude, but I'm more encouraged because I think that legitimately he's smarter than his predecessor. And again, being an offensive coordinator, being the top candidate for a head coaching job, and being a head coach are three completely different jobs. I don't know if Ben Johnson can be a head coach. I don't know. The early returns, and we're only talking about the draft and rookie minicamp, the early returns are encouraging. They might not give us all the answers that we need, but at least they're encouraging. With Ryan Poles, I would like to believe that he is smart enough to learn from mistakes. And look, it's hard for any of us to admit mistakes and then learn from them and apply that learning going forward. It's one of our failings as human beings is to go, I had that wrong. Now I'm going to try and fix it. It's rarer still that someone is given the chance to do it. Had the Bears fired Ryan Poles at the end of the year, I would have been totally fine with it. And if you've been listening or watching this podcast, you know that. But I'm also okay with them saying this guy's a good executive and he made mistakes, but he recognizes them and is working towards being better at his job. And the evidence is we had a much cleaner process to try and find who the new head coach was going to be. And if that's the way that it ends up, I think I think that then you should probably write the Tim Foote I'm sorry card to the McCaskies and to Kevin Warren, who identified someone who they thought was good and said, we're going to give him the mulligan on this. And hopefully Kevin Warren has gotten the specter of Trace Armstrong up out of the Bears organization for good. You can still represent Ryan, but stay out of White Sox business. Like, I hope that was the message to Trace Armstrong in this. Thank you. We got this. You told us to hire this guy. Let's let this guy work. Let's stay out of his way. We don't need your recommendations. We've got our own thing that we've got going on here. And Ryan's on board with that. I would like to give him room to prove that he has learned from it. Because there have been a lot of good things that Ryan Poles has done for the Bears. So I want to give him the room of, did he get this thing right with the hiring of Ben Johnson? Because there wasn't really anybody out here saying that they should hire anyone other than Ben Johnson. And sometimes the consensus of those of us that are outside the thing can be completely wrong. Sometimes it's completely right. See, I think that Bears fans and people who cover the team had it right about Caleb. And if you watch the last video, I explain why. I think all of us were like, this doesn't look, feel, or smell right. What's going on with the Bears offense? And when you had the Stacey Dales report, when you had ex-players being like, I've never seen anything like this, but maybe it'll work. When you had current players running to microphones to tell you how bad things were with the Bears, everyone was right about that. But I make room for us being wrong about things, even if we all agree that it makes the most sense. Here, I'm fighting my instincts a little bit, and I'm trying to do better with that in life in general. Because sometimes, like, my instincts are really good, and sometimes I'm like, maybe you need to see this from a different perspective than your own. So where I land is, I'm good with Caleb and what his dad said. I do hear the argument from ex-players that say, well, Caleb could have hired someone to help him with watching tape. You're right about that. I also think that asking a 22-year-old who's swimming and who's treading water to then be like, can you go and hire someone? He clearly was begging Lincoln Riley for help. And he didn't want to say it publicly, but he was clearly begging that man for help. But I feel you on that. And I am here believing that Ryan Poles deserves an opportunity to see some of this through. Now, at the end of the season, if the Bears are sitting around here at 5-12 again, we should probably have another conversation. But the way that they went about hiring Ben Johnson and Ben Johnson's staff looks like applied learning. And if what Ryan Poles needed was someone to tell him no, and how many of us could benefit from that, myself included. If Kevin Warren was the no, that's not, we should do something else guy, or here's a different way to do it. If he's that guy, and that's been his reputation, that as an executive, he's very buttoned up and he has ideas on how things should be run. If that's the place that we've gotten to through all of this mess that's gone on with the Bears over the last 7 seasons, if that's the place that we've gotten to, I'm good with it. It's a good place to be. That from top down, everyone is now aligned. And I don't mean by contract, I mean by philosophy. If everyone is aligned, okay, then let's roll with this and let's see where it goes, and let's let Caleb do his thing. That's where I stand. Let me know where you stand inside of the comments. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, give us 5 stars. Booker T style, man. Give us 5 stars. Write a nice review. Say you like my jacket. I like it. It's very nice. Although it does look like I'm a cadet, which is also, there's some irony to it because my dad was Army, but I very much look like a cadet when I'm wearing a black t-shirt and this particular bomber, right? And I don't have any hair basically anymore, so it looks like I got a shaved head too. That's cadet action right there. Anyway, I appreciate your support, whether you're watching or listening to the podcast. I will talk to you next time. Peace.